Hello everybody, my name is Rainer and welcome to another edition of the weekly market analysis. This week what I'll look to cover is talk about why trend followers we trade price and not news, and also cover a couple of trading setups on namely Gold and Dax. But first I'd like to share with you some pictures I took in Japan on my trip last week. So this is actually in Tokyo itself, and what you're looking at is actually a very big cross junction. And for those of you who actually watch Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious, you will recall there's actually a particular scene whereby the car was drifting through the entire city. And if I'm not wrong, this is actually a spot where the car drift through. So it is really big because you look at it, you don't see many zebra crossing on the road at once. We have one down here, another one down here, and another one down here. And there's actually a couple more which are actually not visible down here. And you can see that, people are actually waiting to cross the roads. So down here you can see how it looks like when they're actually crossing the roads, and it looks pretty messy and massive. And that's how it is like in Japan. So it's definitely a very interesting, I would say, a picture, interesting scene that I actually came across in my trip down there. And this bowl of ramen, this got to be the best there is. And what's interesting about this is actually before you purchase the bowl of ramen, there wasn't any waiter or waitress who take your order, but rather it is a vending machine whereby you put in some coins and you order your ramen from there, and someone would deliver it to your table shortly. So definitely the best I had down there, and within a couple of minutes, that's all that's left. Yeah. So, and this is pretty interesting as well, because this is not people sniffing glue, but rather it is them enjoying their bowl of ramen. Because what concept it is in this shop is that they have a little privacy cubicle for each person to enjoy their ramen. So again, I thought it's pretty I would say eye opener, because I don't really have that in my country, Singapore. And this is how a typical, I would say, the building and the street looks like in Tokyo. And this is actually a picture, I think, of the flowers I came across nearby the countryside temple. Don't ask me what flower it is, because I have no idea as well. And this is what it's called as a taco pachi, because inside is filled with octopus and outside is it's a little crispy. Inside is milky soft, filled with octopus meat, and top up with I think this is egg mayo. It is so good. And do you know what it feels like to put that in your mouth? Let me show you. That's what it feels like, baby. So yep, that's all I have for my trip with Japan, and that's all I want to show you guys. So now back to the charts, okay? Now back to business, back to the charts. So remember earlier I was saying that as a trend follower, we trade price and not news. So this is a chart of the euro dollar weekly chart, and a little bit of run through. You can see strong bearish momentum towards the downside, very clear, right? The strong bearish momentum towards the downside. And the high traded previously was around 1.4. This I'll say is a multi-year high. And as a trend follower, I can tell you upfront and honest that you will not be able to short at this high over here. Because as a trend follower, we only trade after price shows us or indicate to us where it wants to go. So namely, it will show us lower highs and lower lows. So that's a little clue for you that price may want to head lower. So we are not, I would say, trend predictor. We do not predict the highs and lows, but rather we let price dictate where it wants to go before we establish our positions. So yep. So now looking at this, so what I mean by that is that, okay, this is the same chart, euro dollar, only that now it is on a daily time frame. So what I mean by this is that earlier I said we let price show us where it wants to go. So namely, lower lows with lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So that's what I mean. So we let price show us where it wants to go, and on this chart, on the daily chart, it's much more clearer. So again, most traders will say to me, Rainer, you look at the price, it's so oversold, I don't think the price is going any lower. It has dropped from 1.4 down to a low of around 125, the red line, 125 over here. Almost a 1500 pip move. What makes you think it's going lower? If you're then, so as usual, they will hesitate to short. They won't short. And I can tell you honestly that I got short at this red line over here. I went short. And for those of them who actually stayed on the sidelines because price is actually too low, this is what happened next. Bam! Further capitulation, right? And what happened this week in the euro? For those of you who are actually following the markets, the fundamental news is that Draghi is going to start his bond buyback program. I think 60 billion a month. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that led to further capitulation in the euro down here. And do I know this piece of news beforehand? No, I don't. I simply trade price, not the news. And I got short at 125 because as a trend follower, I simply trade when price is making lower low and lower highs. And if you can see down here, this is where I got short at euro dollar at a price of 125. My first shot over here, 125 at October 31st. Price was already very low, but how low could it go? None of us know. So that's my point and my take on this. Alright, so trend followers, we trade price and not the news. So do bear that in mind. So another example I could give you is again crude oil. Again, crude oil, the weekly chart of crude oil, you can see this massive bearish down move towards the downside from a high of around 120. Today is trading almost around $48 or $50, so it's about almost a $70 move. Again, as a trend follower, there's no way I'm going to short at this high over here. Alright, I will not short at that high over here. Instead, I'll wait for price to indicate where he wants to go before I get into the trade. So look at this, the daily chart. Alright, so the high is again, as I shown earlier, this is the high around 120. So let price form lower lows and lower highs. Alright, you get a message, before I establish any position. So I got short at this red line over here. So most traders will say, wow, this price is really so low, you still want to short? So yeah, why not? I'm going to short. Price indicates that you want to go lower. What's there to be afraid of? The most I get stopped up, I lose 1 R. But what if I'm right? What is the potential R as my reward? To me, I always say it's infinity because I have no idea how low price could go. And if you want to see, again, my crude oil, I've got short somewhere around $91 over here, October 8, 2014. So that's really what I do. And honestly, I would say there's no holy grail, no secret to trading. And this is what I do as a trend follower. So I do not trade news, rather I trade price only. So again, the message which I brought earlier is that as trend follower, we only trade price and not news. So yep, that's a key message for you guys today. And the next few charts you'll see is actually some trading setup. So I would say take some time to digest that piece of information before I'll move on. Alright. So yep. So okay, this is now the chart of gold, and remember last week I said something like gold was in a consolidation right here and here, and if it breaks higher, I'll look to get long, and if it breaks lower, I'll look to get short. And what happened this week is that we got a bias to get long when price broke out this resistance over here. So looking in the coming weeks, I'll be looking to scale in into my gold trade. And how I'll look to scale in is that on the 4-hour chart, there is potential trading setups which you may want to pay attention to. So the blue and red is 20 EMA, 20, and the blue I use is the 50 EMA. So two ways you can go about it. If price does take out this swing high over here, I'll look to trade the breakup towards the upside. Or similarly, if price retraces back towards this low over here, one could also consider looking to long on the pullback. So stop wise, I always use 2 ATR if you have not noticed already. And that's my game plan for gold this coming week. And last but not least, I'd like to talk about this indices. I haven't really been trading indices of much because to me it seems to always be in range bound, mean reverting. But this week, because of the big fundamental news from Europe, the bond buyback program, what happened to DAX is that it actually broke up to a multi-year high. I mean, it could be an all-time high or multi-year high. I have no idea because the chart only shows me the last 10 years of data. But what it seems here is it's actually a very bullish sign whereby it broke out of its resistance on the DAX. So other indices like the S&P and stuff, they're still, ranging right now, like this. But for DAX, the European indices, it actually broke out of its swing high, multi-year high. So it's definitely, in terms of relative strength, I'll say I'll prefer the DAX over the other indices. So bullish bias for DAX and other European indices. And how I look to trade this is on the 4-hour chart again. You can see, price trading near the high over here. Seems to do a little pullback. So what I anticipate in the coming week is that price could form a potential flag pattern over here. And I'll look to get long should price take out the swing high over here as well. So that's my game plan for DAX, and we'll see how it goes next week. Yep. And that's all I have for you guys this week actually. So if you have any comments, feel free to leave in the comment section and I'll be glad to answer them as usual. Alright. So trade safe and stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.